Hello, my name is Zillian Saint-Hilaire, and thank you for looking at this video. We're going to cover how to use Intel AMT Commander. So Intel AMT Commander is a peer tool to Commander. Director is really intended for setup and configuration of Intel AMT machines, where Commander is really used as a console for remote controlling machines and so on and so forth. So Director is really a setup tool. So probably one of the first things you will notice about Director is that it works a little bit like Commander underneath the network here. You can connect, disconnect, add, and remove machines underneath here. But there's another big area called the configuration server. Now, the basic mode of operation of Director is that it doesn't work very well at it doesn't do changing small settings one by one. What it does well is putting a lot of settings into a computer at once. The first thing we're going to try to do is add a security profile. So basically a security profile, and we'll call it our basic profile, is a set of configuration and settings that we can then use to push to machines. So what you do is you set up all your settings here, and then you push it all at once into one or many machines. So there's a couple of settings here. We won't go through these right now. I want to go into enable interfaces and enable web ID redirect, serial over LAN, and all of those. And that's pretty much it. We can change also the administrator username and password. Now we can leave as is, or we could change the administrator name and password right here. So we'll just leave it as is. Now it does work pretty well if you change it here. It's pretty awesome. The user access accounts, if you want to create accounts, for example, I want to create a guest user, guest, and I'll type in a password. Normally you should create a secure, pretty strong password here. And then once you've created your guest account, you can say set permissions, and I'll go ahead and select all the permissions for my guest and say OK. Good, and now we have one account. Now once you've created your settings, you can say set this profile on and select a computer or many and say go, and this profile will go ahead and be set onto this computer. It will take a few seconds for it to connect, set it, and it will stay connected once it's done. So once you have the computer connected, I can take a look at these settings, and this gives you a lot of information about the capabilities of the computer and so on and so forth. Now there's a lot of emphasis here on TLS support, certificate and TLS. We'll cover that in other training videos. I just want to cover the basics of how to use Commander right now without using TLS. So what you'll notice here is that Web UI serial over LAN ID redirect is enabled, and user accounts I have one. If I want to go and change user accounts with Director, what you have to do is go and set, create a new profile or change this profile, and then you can right click, set the profile into this computer and say go, and that will work. Now once you're done, you can do this, by the way, for computers that are SMB mode or enterprise mode. Now in this case, this computer is set up in enterprise mode. Okay, now let's suppose I want to do provisioning. I want to do setup of a computer either from scratch or using what we call the one-touch provisioning setup. So what I'll do here is click on one touch, generate a new key, and this is going to be my key identifier. This is going to be my pre-shared key, and I can create as strong or as weak a key as I want. Now for convenience, I'm going to use a very weak key and just use all zeros. Now this is very convenient if you are on the same network. You can go in the BIOS, type in this key identifier, you type in this key, which is very easy to type. You type in the password. This is the password that you have created in when you've logged into the BIOS and set this AMT password. And then you have to select a profile that when the machine comes in and has all this settings, this is a profile you're going to push to that machine. So just to recap, I'm going to create a new key here, associate a profile, say OK. This key will now be pending. I can now take this identifier, this key, and go into a BIOS of a computer, enter all this, enter the IP address of this machine, and right now this machine is listening on port 9971. This is Director doing this, and waiting for requests for machines that want to be set up. So I can go ahead and do this and type in this machine name, and it will machine identifier and so on and so forth, and it will work. Now another thing I can do is click on an existing machine like this one. This is already set up in enterprise mode. I can click on unprovision and say I want you to set up this key and on this machine and then reset it. So that's what I'm going to do here. Before I press OK, I just want to explain what I'm about to do is a partial unprovision of the computer. And just before unprovisioning it, I'm going to tell AMT Director, go ahead and set up this machine correctly with the right key identifier, and whatever needs to be set, so that when I hit OK, and I'm about to do so, OK, the machine is about to be configured, then it's about to be reset. Now, as I'm speaking, what's going to happen is that the ME, the management engine inside that computer, is being reset to completely to default settings. Now it's being reset partially, and in a few minutes here, about 1 minute it will take, the computer will come back and say, send me a hello message that will cause AMT Director to start setting it up. I want to mention a few things while we're waiting. There's, if I click on configuration server, I can see whatever this machine is doing, and by the way, we just got our machine back, and as we did this, we saw round 1 provisioning successful, and basically Intel AMT Director pushed the basic profile onto that machine, and that machine just popped up. So I've done basically a complete reconfiguration of this computer as AMT, and pushed a completely new setting in it. So if I click on it, I click on security setting, you'll notice that, for example, there's one user account, which is our guest account. Here's the admin, and you'll notice Web UI, Serial Overland ID Redirect is all set. I just want to mention a couple of other things. If I go in File and Provisioning Hello Viewer, these are all the hello messages that Intel AMT Director has received. The latest one is the one on top, and I can get a full analysis of that message. There's a special button here, Debug Inject, and that allows me to click on a message and click on this button, and it will cause this dialog to send this message back into AMT Director. This is very useful for debugging. When something goes wrong, I can go into the viewer and just inject hello messages back into Intel AMT Director. So that's it for the basics. If you ever want to basically provision a machine, just set up a new security profile, set up a key, enter the key in the machine, and then as soon as the machine contacts the AMT Director app tool, then Intel AMT Director will push all these settings into that machine, and you'll set to go. Excellent. That's it for my demo. Thank you, and have a great day.